What's that, Donnie?
You know, we had the Mickey Mouse telephone in the apartment. That freaked Mike out.
You had that as adults, though.
We had, Donnie.
Well, I brought it from
Donnie,
my house.
quick digression. When Donnie and I used to live in our first apartment in North Hollywood, it was on an alley. And I used to work on my car out of the garage in the alley. And an alley is essentially a funnel for misfits. There's a gravitational pull to alleys, right? I do think, like, cops ought to just set up in the alley because it's like the drug addicts, the drifters, the grifters, the second story guys, the guys who are breaking into cars and stuff. They all just end up being sort of sucked toward the alley. I don't know, even if they're not doing anything wrong, they would prefer to walk through the alley as opposed to just the well-lit Laurel Canyon Boulevard where the apartment was on. I just sit back there and work on my car, and there'd always be some guy come in and inevitably strike a conversation up with me. And I was naive and nice, and I had no self-esteem, and I was 20, 19. The guy started talking to me, and if he said to me, like, "Hey, man, I just got to blow out my old lady, and I need a place to crash. You think I could come up and crash on the – I'd say, yeah, come on up, crash on the sofa." It was a one-bedroom. So there was a cement finisher named Mike who had no front teeth, who was one of these guys. I don't know if he had a wicked sense of humor, but he'd be one of these guys. You'd look in his straight face. He'd be like, he'd show up one day and he'd show up with like a black eye. "Jesus, Mike, what happened?" "Geez, I don't know. Some guy punched me for no reason." "What happened?" "I was just in a bar. I told him his wife's pussy stunk." And next thing you know, he's coming at me. But he'd say it in a matter-of-fact kind of way. And there's like, I didn't know if he was serious or not. So he drove a Ranchero, which is the poor man's El Camino.
Yep.
It's the Ford Ranchero. Yeah. The driver's side door was caved in so that he had to climb out of the passenger side and crawl across the transmission hump and get out. One time.
By the way, first of all, naturally it was caved in because, like his mouth,
right,
he had to have a car
that
someone just hit for no reason.
No reason.
Somebody
right.
just, and then this happened. Anyway, go ahead.
This guy literally, his brother lived in an apartment down the other alley. Remember that? I'm sure he's doing great today. He was a typewriter repairman. So his business, he's going gangbusters. That's recession proof, by the way. And so I remember one time, this is how out of it this guy Mike was. We pulled out in front of the Golden Chopstick, which was a cheap Chinese food place that was down Laurel Canyon after finishing. I don't know where the stories end, but we finished my grandmother's slab at her house when I was adding a kitchen on. We went over to the Golden Chopstick. This guy lived he subsisted exclusively on pork fried rice. That was all he ate. So we're out front of the place. He's got the Ranchero with the door carved in. It's 3 shades of primer. He's crawling out of the passenger side door. He's covered up to his waist in concrete. He's been finishing concrete. There's shit all over him. I'm covered with shit. The world's best-looking woman, for some reason, like out of a Survivor video, just goes walking down the sidewalk, just in a mini skirt, like an 80s video, just goes walking right past us, right back. And he says to me, he points at her from, as we're crawling out of the Ranchero, he says, "Oh, Jesus, look at that piece of ass. We ought to talk to her." I said, "Mike, I'm thinking, I didn't say anything, but it's like you're covered with, you have no front teeth, you're covered with cement, you're crawling out of a den-in Ranchero." I said, "Mike, let's just grab the food and get back to Grandma's house." And then he stopped and he looked at me very seriously and he goes, "What's the matter? Don't you want any pussy?" Thinking,
By the way,
thought I was gay at the time.
But you know what, though? In a way, consciously or unconsciously, he was right, and that's also a story about life. Meaning, why not?
Right.
As you were saying, well, you're 19, you had no self-esteem. That kind of proves it. Here's a guy, no teeth, doors caved in, he's covered with crap, and he's still willing to say, "So, what are you, in school?"
Right.
So, what are you go to school around here?
Yeah.
Are you an actress? He's willing to give it a shot.
Somebody
wins the lottery.
He did a few things at our place. I said, "Donnie, here's my buddy Mike. He's going to crash on the sofa." Donnie had a great.
No, I didn't even know. I just woke up and the guy was there.
Oh, you just came home, yeah. This guy did a few things. It was a couple good moments. One is he was on the sofa. He wanted to use the phone. Donnie had a Mickey Mouse phone. Literally, it was Mickey Mouse. He put the phone under his arm, and it was one of these things where old meets new, because we're like, Mike, go ahead and use the phone. He's like, where's the phone? And Donnie's pointing at Mickey Mouse, and he's saying,
Lamp phone.
it was a lamp phone. And he remember just going, what the fuck is this? And he's like, you're talking to Mickey's mouth or whatever it is. But at a certain point, this was like out of a movie. Like, he's drunk and passed out on the sofa, sawing logs, like snoring like it's only a concrete contractor with missing front teeth and drunk. And he's passed out. And Donnie and I are having one of those little spats in the hall. He's like, Donnie.
I wake up in the morning and there's this crusty looking guy sleeping on the sofa.
He's wearing his pants covered with concrete and stuff. And Donnie's giving me, get him out of here.
Who's this guy?
And I'm doing it. He's good people. He's good people. And Donnie's going, I don't want this guy in my. And he's in the middle of the argument. He pops up, does that, hawks a loogie, and passes out again. And it was like out of a movie where right as I'm saying, he's a good guy. He's not going to cause any trouble. It's right when he gets up, blows the snot rocket out of his nose, and passes right back out again.
Well, Adam, you didn't tell me it was Cary Grant. I mean, now that I see what kind of quality people he is.
We'll use his ascot to get the loogie off the window later on. But yeah, that was one of the many. That was one of the many guys I used to run into in this alley. Don't hang out in alley.